Meanwhile, Leo ended up finding the dragon had crash landed outside, on the toilets. Turned out he had knocked over a line of blue plastic porta potties set up in the factory yard on impact. Fortunately, they hadn't been used in a long time, and the fireball from the crash had incinerated most of the contents. But still, there were some pretty gross chemicals leaking out of the wreckage. The dragon looked perfectly fine. Yes, it had fallen out of the sky and landed with a big kaboom, but its body wasn't even dented. Festus's wings were intact, nothing seemed broken. There was no reason it should have stopped. Not my fault, Leo muttered. Festus, you're making me look bad. Then he opened the control panel on the dragon's head, and Leo's heart sank. Oh, Festus, what the heck? Inside, where it should have been too hot for ice to form, the wiring in the control disk seemed to have been caked with frost. Leo couldn't see any reason why that would happen. Sure, the dragon was old, but still, it didn't make any sense. He could replace the wires, but that wasn't the problem. The dragon's control disk wasn't looking too good. The Greek letters and pictures carved around the edges, which probably held all kinds of magic, were burned out, blurred, and blackened. The one piece of hardware Leo couldn't replace, and it was damaged again. He imagined his mom's voice. Most problems look worse than they are, mijo. Nothing is unfixable. His mom could repair just about anything, but Leo was pretty sure she never worked on a 50-year-old metal dragon. He decided he had to try. There was no way he was going to make his friends walk from Detroit all the way to Chicago, especially in this weather. He pulled out his tools and went to work. Leo couldn't help smiling as he pulled out the supplies. The belt's pockets did have limits. They wouldn't give him anything magic like Jason's sword or anything huge like a chainsaw. He tried asking for both, and if he tried to ask for too many things at once, the belt needed some cooldown time before it could work again. The more complicated the request, the longer the cooldown, but anything small and simple, like you might find around in a workshop, all you had to do was ask. As his thoughts wandered, Leo couldn't believe how stupid he acted back in Boreas's palace. He should have figured a family of winter gods would hate him on sight. A son of the fire god flying a fire-breathing dragon into a nice penthouse? Yeah, maybe not the best move. Still, he hated feeling like a reject. Jason and Piper got to visit the throne room. Leo got to wait in the lobby with Cal, the demigod of hockey and major head injuries. Fire bad, Cal had said. That pretty much summed it up. Leo knew he couldn't keep the truth from his friends for much longer. Ever since Camp Half-Blood, that one line from that prophecy kept coming back to him. To storm or fire, the world must fall. And Leo was the fire guy, the first one since 1666, when London had burned down. If he told his friends what he could do, and they might have gotten the idea that he might be destined to destroy the world someday, why would anyone welcome him back at camp? Even though the idea depressed him, Leo knew he would have to go on the run again, probably soon. Then there was Keone. Dang, that girl was fine. Leo knew he acted like a total fool, but he couldn't help himself. Even at the wilderness school, Leo had spent the last 2 days feeling like a third wheel, as Jason and Piper, his only friends, became a couple. He was happy for them, but it seemed to make him feel like they didn't need him anymore. When he found out that Jason's whole time at school had been an illusion, Leo had been secretly excited for the chance for a reset. Now Jason and Piper were heading toward being a couple again. That was obvious from the way they'd acted in the warehouse, like they wanted to talk in private. Let it go, Valdez, he told himself. Nobody's gonna play any violins just because you're not important. Just fix the stupid dragon already. He got so involved with his work, he wasn't sure how much time had passed before he heard the voice. Again. You're wrong, Leo, it said. He dropped one of his tools and it fell to the floor. Leo looked around, but he couldn't see who had spoken. Then he looked at the ground. Snow and chemical sludge started to shift. A 10-foot wide area formed eyes, a nose, and a mouth, the giant face of a sleeping woman. She didn't exactly speak. Her lips didn't move, but Leo could hear her voice in his head, as if the vibrations were coming through the ground, straight into his feet. They need you desperately, she said. In some ways, you are the most important of the 7, like the control disk in the dragon's brain. Without you, the power of the others means nothing. They will never reach me, never stop me, and I will fully awake. You! Leo was shaking so badly. He hadn't heard that voice since he was 8, but it was her. The exact same dirt woman from the machine shop. You... you killed my mom! The face's mouth formed like a sleepy smile, like it was having a pleasant dream. Ah, but Leo, I am your mother too, the first mother. Do not oppose me. Walk away now. Let my son Porphyrion rise and become king, and I will ease your burdens. You will tread lightly on the earth. Leo threw a porta potty seat at the face. Leave me alone! The toilet seat sank into the liquid. Earth, snow, and sludge rippled, and the face dissolved. Leo stared at the ground, waiting for her face to reappear, but it didn't. He wanted to think he'd imagined it. Then, from inside the factory, he heard a crash like two dump trucks slamming together. Metal crumpled and groaned, and the noise echoed across the yard. Instantly, Leo knew that Jason and Piper were in trouble. Walk away now, the voice had urged. Not likely, Leo growled. He reached into his tool belt and pulled out a 3-pound club hammer. Then, he ran back toward the warehouse. Leo stopped at the doors and tried to control his breathing. The voice of the Earth Woman still rang in his ears, reminding him of his mother's death. The last thing he wanted to do was plunge into another dark warehouse. Suddenly, he felt 8 years old again, alone and helpless, as someone he cared about was trapped and in trouble. Stop it, he told himself. That's how she wants you to feel. But that didn't make him any less scared. He took a deep breath and appeared inside. Nothing looked different. The morning light coming through the windows started getting brighter, but not too quickly. Other than that, most of the factory floor was still lost in shadows. A bunch of metal containers like the ones you see on trucks or trains or ships were scattered all over the place. But Leo saw no movement or any sign of his friends. He almost called out, but something held him back, a sense he couldn't identify. Then he realized it was a smell. Something that smelled wrong, like burning motor oil and sour breath. Something not human was inside the factory. Leo was certain. His body shifted into high gear, all his nerves tingling. Somewhere in the factory, Piper's voice cried out, Leo, help! But Leo held his tongue. How could Piper have gotten off the catwalk with her broken ankle? He slipped inside slowly, clenching his hammer tight and tiptoeing his way around the boxes. He heard what sounded like metal chains rattling and could smell a fire just around another box. Just before he went around, he got the glimpse of a huge, beefy figure larger than any human he had ever seen. He carefully took another quick peek behind the box. He could make out at least 2 figures, maybe 3. They had their backs turned so Leo couldn't see their faces. Yet, their bodies were so huge, they seemed about as large as trucks. They seemed to be gathered around a pair of what looked like 2 human-sized lumps hanging from a crane. Leo also noticed off to the side, for some reason, there was a truck with its top half missing, and it was pointing straight up, while leaning against the wall. Leo wondered what kind of machinery could have pulled that off.
Told you there was no one else out there. The pretty girl must have been lying about another demigod,
said the figure on the right.
Or he ran away if he's not feeling like being breakfast,
said the one on the left. Leo took a longer look and tried to see past the giants, and he saw that the 2 human-sized lumps were actually Piper and Jason. They were tied up together by barbed wire and hanging from the crane. The other half of the vehicle was covered in flames, as if it were being used as a fire pit. Leo realized with a shock, those creatures set up their own makeshift cooking fire and were about to eat his friends. Leo still couldn't see the monsters' faces, but after remembering the monocle motor sign with that single red eye logo, he felt like he didn't need to. Why hadn't he realized sooner? The 3 massive humanoids were Cyclopes. The one on the right had hair, while the left one was bald. Other than that, the 2 might have been twins. Leo couldn't make out the details on the 3rd one in the back just yet. He did just notice Piper's mouth was gagged, but at least she seemed alive. Jason, on the other hand, didn't look so good. He hung limply, his eyes rolled up in his head, a red welt the size of an apple had swollen over his left eyebrow. The sight of it all might have reminded Leo of a scene in some fantasy movie he might have seen, or a scene he read about in some old book, or probably both. The real scary part was that his friends' lives might have depended on him playing the hero, and he could hardly imagine himself able to grab his friends and outrun those huge monsters. Sure, he'd seen plenty of weird things so far, a sleepwalking dirt woman, storm spirits, a goat-legged gym teacher, winged gods, a hot snow goddess, and a metal dragon, but this was different. These were actual flesh and blood, 10-foot tall man eating monsters. And right now, they wanted to eat his friends for dinner. He was so terrified he could barely think. If only Festus was in good shape. He could use a fire-breathing 60-foot-long tank right about now, but all he had now was a tool belt and a 3-pound club hammer. It looked awfully small compared to those Cyclopes. This is what the sleeping Earth Lady had been talking about. She wanted Leo to walk away and leave his friends to die. That settled it. No way was Leo going to let the Earth Lady make him feel powerless. Never again. Not after what happened to his mother. He definitely wasn't going to lose anyone else either. Leo reached into his tool belt and started making a gadget. He pulled out a tiny remote, a radio adapter, and a handle to attach them to, in the hopes of putting together a makeshift universal remote. As he worked, one of the Cyclopes said,
"Can we take off the gag first? I like it when they scream."
The question was directed at the third Cyclops, apparently female and the leader. Unlike the others, she had longer dreadlock hair and she wore a dress made of chainmail. She stepped forward and ripped the gag off Piper's mouth. Thankfully, she didn't scream. Instead, she took a shaky breath like she was trying to keep herself calm.
"Scream, girlie,"
said the hairy one.
"I like funny screaming."
When Piper finally spoke, her tone was calm and reasonable, like she was trying to correct a naughty puppy. "Oh, Mr. Cyclops, you don't want to kill us. It would be much better if you let us go." The hairy one scratched his ugly head and turned to the bald one.
"She's kinda pretty, Torque. Maybe I should let her go."
The bald one, called Torque, replied,
"I saw her first, Sump. I'll let her go."
"You idiots," the lady Cyclops snarled.
"That girl is Venus Spawn. She's charm-speaking you. And don't you try your pretty talk on me, girl. I'm Ma Gasket, and I've eaten tougher heroes than you for lunch."
As Leo worked, he listened to the Cyclopes arguing, like Ma Gasket was a mother to the other two. If that were the case, ugliness must have ran in the family.
"I should have thrown you two out on into the streets when you were babies, just like proper Cyclops children. You might have learned some useful skills. Curse my soft heart I kept you." "Soft heart?"
Torque muttered.
"What was that, you ingrate?" Nothing, Ma. I didn't say you got a soft heart. We get to work for you and feed you and file your toenails and you ought to be darn grateful,"
Ma Gasket growled.
"Now where's that special salsa I like?" Dark you idiot. My case of salsa is in the other warehouse. Don't tell me you expect to eat these demigods without my special salsa." Yes, Ma,"
Torque said.
No, Ma. Go!"
She screamed. And so he did. Leo managed to hide between the boxes and the wall without being seen as Torque left the room. Now's the time, Leo thought, while they're separated. Leo snuck around the boxes, trying to get as close as possible to the crane. His plan was to try to get a signal to the crane with his makeshift universal remote in the hope of preventing the Cyclopes from dipping his friends into the fire pit. Maybe he could even use the crane against the Cyclopes, and maybe even carry his friends out of there. The Cyclopes didn't see him, but Piper did. Her expression turned from terror to disbelief. Ma Gasket turned to her.
"What's the matter, girl? So fragile I broke you?"
Thankfully, Piper was a quick thinker. She looked away from Leo and said, "I think it's my ribs, ma'am. If I'm busted up inside, I'll taste terrible." Ma Gasket followed with laughter.
"Good one, girlie. The last hero we ate, he tried a trick like that. He said he was on medication, but he tasted fine. Remember his son? A son of Mercury, wasn't he?" Yeah, Ma," some said. "He had a purple shirt on when we ate him. Talked in Latin, too, but he was tasty."
Leo almost dropped his remote. Apparently, Piper was having the same thought. Someone wearing a purple shirt and spoke in Latin was caught here? Why did that sound so familiar?
"Good eating,"
Ma Gasket said fondly.
"Point is, girl, we're not so dumb as people think. We're not falling for those stupid tricks and riddles. Not us northern Cyclopes."
Piper tried to keep talking, trying to give Leo time. "Oh, I've heard about the northern Cyclopes. I never knew you were so big and clever."
Like I said before, pretty talk won't save you, girl, Ma Gasket said. You'll be in my belly before lunch.
But don't Cyclopes work for the Olympians? Piper asked. I've heard how you guys made some amazing weapons for them, for the recent war or something like that.
Oh, I'm very good with my hands, Ma Gasket said. Good at smashing and building things, yes, but not for the gods, girl. You're thinking of our cousins, the elder Cyclopes. They do this, yes, thinking they're so high and mighty because they're a few thousand years older. Then there's our southern cousins living on islands and tending sheep. Morons. But we Hyperborean Cyclopes, the northern clan, we're the best. Founded Monocle Motors in this old factory. The best armor and best weapons, and yet we were forced to shut down. The war was too quick. The Titans lost, which means no one had any need for our weapons.
Oh, but that's not fair, Piper synthesized. I'm sure you made some amazing things.
Squeaky Warhammer, an exploding axe, Sump mentioned. Wish you could have seen it.
Ooh, sounds terrifying, all right, Piper said.
Enough talk, Gasket yelled. She's tricking you again, stupid. Now let's get cooking. Slay the boy first before he dies alone. I like my meat fresh.
Leo hit a button on his remote just as Sump was about to reach for the crane's controls, and the crane arm swung right into his head. Right on impact, Sump turned to dust. Piper and Jason came loose from the hook, and thankfully with no broken bones.
Sump!
Gasket cried.
Demigod trickery! You busted my boy! Only I get to bust my boys!
Then Leo made the crane roll across the room and hit the truck that stood straight up, causing it to wiggle and lose its balance. Piper managed to roll herself along with Jason out of the way as the truck came down right on top of Ma Gasket, crushing her into dust. Heck yeah, I got tricks! Leo shouted. Just then, a voice from around the corner roared,
Hey!
Torque came back with the salsa, and also, for some reason, with some dynamite, probably a stupid way to extend the flames.
You wanna play?
He growled.
Let's play!
He threw his dynamite right next to Leo, and it went kaboom! Leo, no! Piper cried. But Leo jumped out of the flames completely unharmed, without a single scratch on him. Piper gasped. Leo?
What? You can't burn?
Torque asked confusingly.
What are you?
I'm a son of a Festus, buddy, Leo joked. He hit another button on his remote, and the crane rolled straight for Torque, impaling him to dust. I've heard of Cyclopes being fireproof. Apparently not so much to hardware, Leo said out loud. It took him a bit to free Jason and Piper from the barbed wire. Piper tried checking Jason for his body warmth, and if he was still breathing. He seems to be breathing normally, she said. And his heart feels fine. He still feels warm. I think he's gonna make it. Yep, he's got a nice thick skull, Leo said. Thank goodness, Piper sighed. Then she looked at Leo with something like fear. But the fire, have you always? Always, Leo said. I'm so sorry I didn't say anything sooner. What are you apologizing for? That was amazing. You saved our lives, Piper said, smiling. Leo blinked. Then he started to smile too, but his sense of relief was ruined when he noticed something next to Piper's foot. The yellow, dusty remains of the Cyclopes looked like it was shifting across the floor, like an invisible wind was pushing it back together. They're forming again, Leo said. Wait, that's not possible, Piper said. Annabeth told me monsters go to Tartarus when they get killed. They can't return for a long time. Well, I guess nobody told the dust that, Leo said. Wait a second, Piper said. Didn't Boreas say something about monsters no longer staying in Tartarus and souls are no longer confined to Hades? How long do you think we have? I don't know, but I don't want to stick around to find out, Leo said. Let's get out of here.